So I want to welcome you back to the final session of the Institute. And as is normal, we normally use this final session of the Institute to do a quick face-to-face feedback, get feedback from laureates of the Institute and get a sense of any of the issues that you would like us to put in mind as we think about the Institute next year and the years to come. And I am normally requested to chair this session partly because that feedback will need both my attention but also the attention of a number of CODESRIA staff in implementing. So I want to do that, and then we will do a final wrap-up of the Institute. And my colleagues have informed me that it would be totally unfair for you to leave without having a group photo. So they are going to organize a session for a group photo here. And I hope that we can do that within the shortest time possible. So by way of commencing this session, I would like to, first of all, use the opportunity to make the assumption that the Institute, over and above any slight challenges that you may have experienced, has been of enormous reward to you as individuals, but also as a group, and that you have benefited in one way or the other from participating in the Institute. It was clear to me from the very first time I looked at the concept note for the Institute, which was used to call for applications, that there was a deliberate design in the program in the call to be provocative. And I can tell you that even though I wasn't here on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I was following the discussions on YouTube live. And I noticed a range of provocative moments. So if not for nothing else, I hope the provocation has been intellectually stimulating, has been useful to you as individuals, and that you're going to carry a range of ideas with you to your points of origin. Let me use this opportunity to make a point that is important for CODESRIA. At the very end of everything, all knowledge is local. All knowledge is local. When Max Weber is sitting in his native Germany and thinking about issues to do with politics and bureaucracies, he's not thinking about Kenya, Dhaka, or in this. He's reflecting on situations existing in his own community. And then concepts begin to carry value and transcend boundaries. And by the time they reach some of us, they carry the appearance of universal knowledge. But at the very heart of it, the origin of those concepts, of those ideas, is as local as it can ever be. And I think the challenge for us in Africa is the extent to which we can universalize our own local concepts. And I feel that this institute has been provocative enough as to open you to the dialogue around the power relations that mediate how we know, what we choose to know, and what we choose to abandon. And many instances, at least for those of us in Africa, it remains absolutely important that we do not just carry virtually everything that passes in the name of Western science. And I'm being very clever here to insert the word Western. Because as I have said, all knowledge is local, even if at the end of the day, by the time we get it, it has assumed the appearance of being universal. And the value of methodology to me, and to CODESRIA, I believe, is that it gives you the tools to be able to discipline the data that you have, the realities that you observe. And too many academics who do the work of disciplining their data to tell a particular story will, of course, want to look at notions of objectivity, neutrality, relativity, positionality, name all of them. But at the end of the day, the process of disciplining your data to tell the story that you want to tell is one that cannot avoid existing debates in African studies. And this is going to be my last point. And it is that we're living at a very interesting moment in African studies. Forget the debates about decoloniality and all that. I think there is a general desire in Africa in particular, but if you will, in global Africa in general, there is a general desire that the agency of Africans and the agency of black people across the world must not constantly just be about descriptions of crisis that is mounted in African studies. I think last week we published an article on this in CODESRIA Bulletin Online, and tomorrow I believe we are publishing a response to it. And young Africans are beginning to ask the question, why do we continue to react to forms of knowledge that hardly ever respect the humanity of Africans, of black people as people? This was the inspiration around matters decoloniality. This was the inspiration about Rhodes Must Fall. This is the inspiration around many of the things. And yesterday I was listening to the debate around W.E.B. Du Bois. You know, when Eliseo was citing W.E.B. Du Bois' speech in relation to the honor he received from Harvard. And one of the enduring messages that W.E.B. Du Bois left more than a century ago in his book, Souls of Black Folk. So the problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line. It's the problem of the color line. And his argument remains as relevant today if you read that paragraph beyond that sentence I have cited. That mediating the nature of relations between races is going to be important. But for me, and my challenge to all of you, is that how can you mediate those relations based on knowledge that is produced for you by others? Based on knowledge that is produced for you by others. So the role of CODESRIA is really to invite you to the table to participate in the production of knowledge for your own communities. Because, let's go use the word, the Emancipatory Project for Africa, which is a continuing project, is not going to be achieved based on knowledge produced for you by others. This is the opportunity we hope the Institute has provided for you. This is the opportunity we hope CODESRIA provides for you. And in doing so, we try to assemble a number of senior colleagues to guide us into some of these debates, which is my way of beginning to thank Elisio for directing the Institute, and the two colleagues for making an effective contribution to the debates you've had over the last 1 week. And more often I feel very disappointed. When in CODESRIA we bring resource persons like the ones you've had, and you do not make effective use of them. Some of these colleagues, you can't just wave your hands and have them sitting here for a day, a week. No, it's not possible. You must have the convening power to get her to stop her work at University Sheikh Anta Diop to come and spend a whole week with you reflecting on issues of importance to you. You can't just come to CODESRIA. We publish one of the longest existing social science journal on the continent. We used to say outside South Africa, but I think we're beginning to beat even those ones in South Africa. Okay? 4 issues a year. You come to CODESRIA, you spend 1 week, 2 weeks, you engage some of the best minds on the continent. Then you go and you disappear. You don't want to share some of the ideas you've benefited. When you decide to publish something, you look in Europe or in the US for a journal where you want to publish. When there is a message from CODESRIA to be a member, a paid-up member, you would rather be a paid-up member in the African Studies Association in France, UK, ICAS. You want to be a member, paid-up member of any organization other than CODESRIA. Right? When there is a conference, CODESRIA General Assembly, you can't afford to pay, but when there is a conference in Basel, you pay a ticket, you pay visa fee, and you go. And the point I'm making here is that I hope that the opportunity you had to spend with us has shifted something in you. And we are really struggling to have the best minds in Africa working with us. And there's a whole bunch of excuses that I have interacted with in the last 5 years about CODESRIA. A good many of them simply the imagination created about CODESRIA. We don't know how to pay your membership to CODESRIA because the facility is not easily available online. And my friend Basiru there will tell you just need to click a button. Or when we buy books from CODESRIA, they are not accessible. We've created soft copies for you to publish, and within 10 minutes it reflects on your iPad. Or we don't have nearly enough information from CODESRIA, we launch a new website and provide every facility for you there. Or CODESRIA is very difficult to go, we give visa-free access to this country. Of course, courtesy of the diplomatic status that the government of the Republic of Senegal has extended to us. We've spent the last 5 years resolving all the excuses you need to avoid CODESRIA. CODESRIA publications don't come out on time. Rwanda is preparing Africa Development Number 3 of 2022, which is supposed to be published by the end of September. It's going to be out in the next 2 weeks. We've spent enough time trying to dissuade you from excuses, to dissuade the community of scholarship. If I'm streaming live, I need the community of scholarship to understand that we've spent enough time reducing the number of excuses that African academics have about CODESRIA. We're negotiating a new corner, and as I always say here in Dakar, we now have a new train that begins from the center of town to Diamniadio, to the airport. The train is leaving the station, and excuses are not part of what we want to do. We want to revitalize CODESRIA. We want to position it as a premier social science organization serving African academics in the social sciences and humanities effectively. If you go to our website, there is nothing you're not going to find that would facilitate your access to the institution. I need to make the point that all of you who are attending this institute, you did not come here because we looked at your picture and decided we liked your face. No, you went through a rigorous peer review process, blind peer review process, and you were selected in your right as an academic. Too many times African academics are complaining about the selection process. We've been audited just slightly over 14 times in the last 5 years. And on the matter of how we do selection, they have not found one single reason to complain about our selection process. So if you get rejected once, it's not because we don't like you, it's because the blind peer review process gave us the result that we want. So it's on this basis that I want to encourage you to continue engaging us. It's on this basis that I want to encourage you to remember that there is, in fact, in existence, a Pan-African Center of Knowledge Production in the social sciences, in the humanities, and it's based in Dakar. Fortunately, on Sheikh Anta Diop Avenue. Right? And we are happy to hear your feedback. We are happy to hear your suggestion. We are happy to be of use to you at any one point when you feel like you need a community of scholarship that is doing its thing in Africa. We're happy to hear from you. We want to encourage you to continue. We want to encourage those ones who have come to CODESRIA for the first institute to attempt a second institute, but don't attempt a third one, because we won't select you. We run the Gender Institute, we run the Governance Institute. We think we're going to be able to run the Health, Politics, and Society Institute, effective next year. By January, February next year, we're going to, using our website and our other social media platforms, we're going to advertise a whole range of programs that we hope you can take advantage of. And we hope that you can become, therefore, the basis around which we construct a new epistemic community, articulating ideas that challenge, quote unquote, established knowledge, that challenge existing narratives, that begin to give life to the fact that all knowledge is political, but there is a specific segment of that knowledge that is African, that is speaking to the realities, but also to the needs and aspirations of ordinary Africans, because that's really where we need to take this whole story. So I want to conclude there and to ask you, anyone who has any intervention you want to make, any concerns you want to raise, any questions that you have that are pending. Please don't make them of a logistics nature, because we are going to answer logistics questions after this. We'd like to hear concerns of an academic, intellectual nature, so that we respond to them if necessary, or we take notes, and where necessary I will respond to you, and then we can conclude the institute, and then we will have a logistics related element to that. And I'm also informed that there are certificates that have to be issued to participants in the institute, so we will do that. And then we finish with the group photo and see how to disperse from the hotel, but also from Dhaka. So, open floor. Any interventions that you have, if I can take several, and then where I can't respond, I will ask my colleagues to help me. Any concerns? They could also include just saying that CODESRIA is a very great institution and you have absolutely nothing to fix in the future. So I'm going to begin there, and then I come to you, and then I come to you. So I'll take those three, and then we proceed from there.
Bonjour, merci beaucoup, professeur. En fait, je voudrais un peu rebondir sur, disons, la considération par rapport au CODESRIA. Moi, j'ai l'impression que nous, étudiants de l'Université Cheikh Anta Diop, nous ne connaissons pas assez et suffisamment CODESRIA. CODESRIA est ici à Dakar, à 2 pas de l'Université Cheikh Anta Diop de Dakar, mais j'en suis sûre, si on posait la question de savoir, si on demandait aux étudiants ce qu'ils savent du CODESRIA, les réponses seraient minimes. Bon, qu'est-ce qui l'explique aussi? Je ne rejette pas la faute aux étudiants, mais qu'est-ce qui explique que le CODESRIA puisse passer, entre guillemets, je pèse bien mes mots, inaperçu aux yeux des étudiants? Ça, c'était la première chose. La deuxième chose, c'est qu'en fait, il est vrai qu'en fréquentant certains collègues, moi, je connaissais le CODESRIA, mais je n'avais pas mesuré véritablement ce que le CODESRIA représentait sur le plan des recherches. Et là, je le dis, par rapport même aux échanges qui ont eu lieu ici, par rapport aux cours, par rapport aux différentes interventions, franchement, je me suis dit qu'il va falloir qu'on salue véritablement tout le travail que les membres du CODESRIA font, mais en même temps, bon, on est un peu insatisfait juste parce que on se dit de l'autre côté que les étudiants de l'UQAT auraient pu en bénéficier. Par rapport aux échanges et tout, le professeur Elisio Macamo, par exemple, moi je me suis dit qu'il y a un colloque qui va avoir lieu à l'Université Cheikh Anta Diop, organisé par la Faculté des Lettres et Sciences Humaines. Le thème, c'est l'Afrique en devenir. Mais moi, c'est après les travaux de groupe que j'ai eu le thème sur lequel va porter la communication que je vais présenter. Juste pour vous dire que, juste pour vous montrer à quel point on a beaucoup appris et on a véritablement bénéficié. Dorénavant, bon, je sais que j'ai une perception différente maintenant du CODESRIA et j'aimerais bien que les étudiants de l'Université Cheikh Anta Diop puissent reconnaître cela. À qui la faute? Une question que je laisse. Merci.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have a simple question of what are the benefits to get for being a paid member of CODESRIA? Thank you.
Bonjour. J'aimerais faire un petit commentaire et ensuite poser ma question. Moi, j'ai beaucoup entendu parler du CODESRIA depuis mon entrée au niveau 1 à l'université. J'ai eu plusieurs aînés académiques et aussi des enseignants qui sont des produits issus du CODESRIA. Et cela m'a donné une motivation intérieure que si eux, ils ont pu venir être formés par le CODESRIA, pourquoi pas moi? D'où mon intérêt pour cette offre d'école d'été et raison pour laquelle j'ai postuler. Mais ce que je ne sais pas du CODESRIA, c'est comment est-ce que ça se passe, la procédure de publication d'articles ou d'ouvrages. On sait ce que c'est que le CODESRIA, mais en ce qui concerne les publications scientifiques, on ne sait vraiment pas. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Moi, je n'ai pas une question, mais juste dire ma fierté d'avoir participé à cette école d'été. Lorsque je suis venue à l'université, j'ai eu des enseignants qui ont publié des articles et autres au niveau de CODESRIA. Et on nous disait que c'est une institution très sérieuse, avec de la rigueur et tout le reste. Et lorsque je suis venue, j'ai été retenue pour participer à cette école d'été. J'ai compris que c'était vraiment sélectif, que ce n'était pas une rencontre pour tout le monde. Et cela témoigne une fois de plus de ce que disent nos enseignants de cette institution que nous avons eu le bonheur de découvrir ici à Dakar. Sinon, moi, je viens du Bénin et je n'ai que la bibliothèque des articles de CODESRIA. Donc, je trouve que je suis une privilégiée d'avoir participé à cette école d'été. Et comme l'a demandé ma sœur du Cameroun, des informations supplémentaires nous aideraient à rester connectés à CODESRIA et à en apprendre davantage et à peut-être publier des choses plus tard. Merci beaucoup.
Oui, merci pour la parole m'accorder. Et moi-même, c'est un sentiment de satisfaction que j'exprime à l'égard du CODESRIA pour cette grande activité. Évidemment, CODESRIA est presque connu partout en Afrique, parce que moi-même, à partir de la RDC, j'ai appris l'information de l'existence du CODESRIA au travers du prof Jacques Tibouaba et bien d'autres, qui a eu le courage de quitter Kinshasa pour venir à Bukavu. C'est très loin, pour venir nous sensibiliser et nous informer par rapport aux avantages qu'il y a d'autres membres du CODESRIA. Et moi-même, en arrivant ici, en tout cas, je me suis rendu compte que CODESRIA, c'est vraiment une institution qui mérite d'être soutenue par les efforts de nous tous. Mais par rapport à cette école d'été que nous allons bientôt finir, bien sûr, j'allais juste suggérer que au niveau de la documentation, il serait utile que peut-être même une semaine avant le début de l'activité, que l'on puisse mettre à la disposition de participants sélectionner une documentation diversifiée pour que peut-être ils puissent bien se préparer par rapport à l'activité. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. I want to thank CODESRIA for granting me the opportunity to have this environment of socialization with elites of different field of studies. Honestly, this is my first time of interacting with CODESRIA. The information came to me through a colleague who's a lecturer informed him about the institute, and he shared the information with me. And when he sent the link to me, I went through it, and I realized that this is an opportunity that I cannot miss, because it has real align with my research area. So I took the opportunity and I applied. Although at a point in time it took me almost more than a month to write the concept note. When I write, I will delete. I said, am I actually doing the right thing, or am I? So honestly, having been here, I begin to understand the real picture of the team for the summer school. And honestly, like we've said here, the more you know, the more you are likely to, the more you realize that you did not know. Honestly, I thought I knew, but some of my theories, I have to drop them here before I leave the airport. And I thank CODESRIA for that platform, and honestly, I hope for such activities to be able to impact us with some of this knowledge that will help us to grow in our area of discipline. And also have just an opinion, just a humble opinion, and that is probably if there is going to be any second occasion like this, it will be very nice where the participant will be taken outside of the four-corner classroom, because I'm talking from a teacher perspective, that when we go outside, we are dealing with psychology here, we are dealing with philosophy. So meeting the people, the local people, will also enriching our experience, or the experience of the participants that have come for this session. So thank you very much, and I really appreciate the effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Perhaps just to start by saying that we really appreciate the consciousness that went into perpetuating the survival of CODESRIA, which I think for many of us has become like a rite of passage of sorts. You know, when you have not been to CODESRIA, you sort of like feel left out. So I really want to pay tribute to that consciousness. I also want to really say that for me, I am particularly aware that I'm in Senegal, Dakar, and that this particular place and space has its own history and has its own struggles. I also want to dip my head and say I do wish to pay tribute to that. Also want to pay tribute to all the work that has brought us here, especially for us coming from South Africa, being a large group that we are. I know that it's not been a seamless process. I'm trying to be humble, colleagues. I also want to say that the sentiment that was just made about taking us out of the four-corner classroom is one that I wish to also walk into. As well, we could have brought Senegal, we could have brought Dakar into the classroom in more ways than perhaps we have. And one of the simple ways of doing that, I do lament the fact that I have colleagues in this line of my view whose eyes I've never seen. So one simple way of doing that is to somehow be active. If I was coming early in the morning, I would have taken the responsibility of rotating us so that we come, you know, into collision with all of us, more than I with her and with El Haj, with whom I've been in communion for the past week. So that kind of arrangement, I think, would really help towards building this epistemic community that we are striving for. Why not a bit of music somewhere along the way, so that because knowledge is everywhere. I mean, at this point, I know only 10% of all of you. The other 90% has been hidden from me because we've been in the straitjacket of being intellectual with one another, and it does not really open up, spaces for really talking how political is knowledge. Because in my dancing, I can also be very political in the songs that if I had a playlist, she had a playlist, he had a playlist, whatever, the politics are brought to the fore. And finally, perhaps just to say that I know that the week is very short, and I know that funds are always a constraint, but if there is possibly a way of having maybe 3 voices that are dominant, so that the third one can untie the stalemate if there is one. So, thank you. Thank you.
Bonsoir professeur et merci beaucoup de nous donner l'occasion de nous exprimer. Mes propos seront principalement axés sur, on va dire, des remerciements au CODESRIA qui nous offre ici l'opportunité d'apprendre de nouveau, de mettre en confrontation nos idées avec celles des autres. Moi, comme mes recherches gravitent essentiellement sur l'aspect virtuel Internet, c'est ainsi que j'ai découvert CODESRIA, qui est très actif d'ailleurs sur LinkedIn, Twitter et autres. Mais par contre, je ne vois pas CODESRIA au-delà de cet aspect virtuel. Donc, ce que j'aimerais savoir, c'est est-ce que vous avez des antennes, des représentations locales? Et une autre question, l'équipe ici est constituée de personnes qui s'expriment principalement en anglais ou en français. L'appel à candidature mentionnait également le fait de pouvoir appliquer, sinon candidater en portugais. Mais je ne vois pas de camarades lusophones. Ça aurait été aussi intéressant d'avoir leur point de vue pour savoir comment est-ce que la recherche se pratique du côté lusophone et autres. Donc savoir si ils ont candidaté ou si aucun n'a candidaté, c'est qu'il y a véritablement un problème. C'est que l'appel n'est pas allé au-delà des milieux francophones et anglophones. Donc essayez prochainement de ventiler cela et se servir également de la base de données que vous avez ici. Par nos mails, nous envoyer à tout moment des informations sur la publication, les appels à communication et tout, pour qu'on puisse à nouveau être ces porte-voix du CODESRIA dans nos différents espaces universitaires. Merci beaucoup.
I can take more questions, comments. I'm not tired yet. And you don't have to apologize for being critical. Okay. Yes.
Ok, merci. Et j'ai parlé tout à l'heure de mes enseignants certains ont eu des subventions ou des bourses du CODESRIA. Est-ce que ces bourses continuent ou alors ça a été arrêté? Bourses ou subventions de recherche?
I would also like to begin by thanking CODESRIA. Everybody, the staff was been super helpful to all of us personally and as a collective. And all of you who have sustained and preserved such a space for radical scholarship. The one comment I would have is really, Dr. Marunga, with your last sentence, is this aspiration and needs of our people, that there is a need amidst the rupture of the world right now for African intellectuals really to think about that. So the one comment I would have is, I know perhaps this was not necessarily in the scope of the theme for this summer school, but to really, I think, in every theme, that last sentence of yours needs to be embedded. So, but overall, thank you all for bringing us together and allowing us to think together and question one another.
Thank you. I think for me, I was also interested in the historical sites. Because I think if we're talking about knowledge as political, they give us the evidence of this, and so I would have imagined perhaps on the first day of the conference or the last day of the conference, which is I prefer first day actually, because we can already have what we are thinking about when we are taken to this place. We were theorizing now, what is that big statue there in Monument Park means, with a black man carrying a child looking in the future and the black woman, like protecting and stuff. So it will be nice if we can have that, it simplify knowledge from this abstract notion and it becomes real.
Firstly, I just want to thank CODESRIA for the opportunity to be here to meet with students, emerging scholars, and experts from different fields and different universities from Africa and from Switzerland at University of Basel. My main concern, I'm from the University of Johannesburg in South Africa. But I do realize that most students of my age do not know about CODESRIA. I know you have a relationship with UNISA where they send many people. I'm actually one of those who didn't even know about CODESRIA until the 30th of May 2022, when my supervisor, who's British, said that you have to go to CODESRIA, and she kept on insisting that I should apply. And I ended up applying. So I think, I don't know, I know you have mentioned that, you are now on social, you created a new or revamped your website. I also checked, you are there on social media and I follow you. But I believe maybe something should be done because, even some of the students that I study with, some whom I admire so much, when I told them that I was going to CODESRIA, they didn't even know about it. I was like, where are you going? But, I just want to thank you for the opportunity, and I think something should be done, especially at University of Johannesburg, for students to know about this great institute and to know what happens, and, because I feel that, it's a very, very good initiative, and, I've benefited a lot. I've been taking a lot from what was happening here, but unfortunately my colleagues do not even know about it. Thank you so much.
Voilà, merci. Mon intervention va s'articuler autour de deux moments. Le premier moment, c'est d'abord, en fait, Elisio et là, je pars de Bassir Diagne qui disait qu'un intellectuel, c'est celui qui dérange d'une part. Et Elisio vraiment a dérangé d'une part. Il a un peu déstabilisé des idées que nous croyons être vraies, des concepts que nous croyons être vrais, et puis des intellectuels, des concepts que nous croyons être en mesure de contrôler. Mais je pense que comme Socrate dans le Ménon, ou bien même dans les dialogues de jeunesse, où ses interlocuteurs lui disaient souvent que Socrate, vraiment, tu es un sorcier. Et je pense qu'Elisio est de ce point de vue un sorcier, puisque effectivement il a par la magnétique, par cette méthode socratique, arrivé effectivement à nous mettre définitivement dans l'incertitude. Voilà, moi je sors de cette université d'été remplie d'incertitudes, remplie vraiment de de probabilité intellectuelle, si je peux m'exprimer ainsi. Mais d'autre part, Bassir Diagne disait aussi que l'intellectuel, il dérange, mais aussi il éclaire. Et je pense que Elisio aussi nous a beaucoup éclairé sur pas mal de problématiques, sur pas mal de concepts, sur comment en fait vivre avec les concepts, comment en fait faire science avec les concepts, faire vie avec les concepts. Pour reprendre un peu le terme de mes amis de Ubuntu, faire humanité ensemble, mais faire concept ensemble. Je pense que là, on peut de ce point de vue retenir cela. Et vraiment, nous lui remercions pour ça. Et aussi les collègues qui ont aussi intervenu par rapport à ces questions d'ordre méthodologique, politique et également scientifique. L'autre moment, le deuxième moment de mon intervention, c'est en fait, je pense que là, Dominique l'a dit parce que elle a dit hier que nous devons être les ambassadeurs du CODESRIA au niveau de l'université Cheikh Anta Diop de Dakar, parce qu'elle l'a dit tout à l'heure. Et en fait, j'ai vraiment honte de le dire parce que le gouvernement du Sénégal m'a permis de voyager un peu partout, m'a payé beaucoup de voyages d'études à l'étranger, Chine, France, Belgique, Hollande, où j'espérais vraiment atteindre mes objectifs pédagogiques, mes objectifs de recherche. Mais je me rends compte que ce que j'ai gagné ici en termes d'expérience dans cette université d'été, je ne l'ai pas vu ailleurs. Pour la bonne et simple raison que j'avais autour de moi des Africains, des gens qui ont les mêmes réalités que moi et qui ont les mêmes préoccupations intellectuelles que moi. C'est pourquoi, en fait, cette activité, cette école d'été, je ne l'oublierai jamais. Et puisque je m'intéresse à la perspective, aux questions relatives au futur, je pense que nous avons à être les héritiers du CODESRIA. Je pense que nous avons la responsabilité, pour un peu reprendre le concept de l'afro-responsabilité, la responsabilité effectivement d'ici 20 ans, d'ici 30 ans, nous aussi d'être là où ils sont, pour organiser également aussi des écoles d'été, des universités d'été. En tout cas, c'est un défi que nous devons relever. Et ça, je vous lance ce défi, cette génération-là, voilà, que d'ici 20 ans, 30 ans, faisons-nous tout pour nous regrouper là, pour organiser également des écoles d'été pour d'autres étudiants, pour d'autres qui sont au niveau de l'Afrique. En tout cas, merci. Je suis vraiment satisfait, mais vous m'avez créé beaucoup de problèmes. Parce que je suis à ma dernière année de thèse. J'ai presque bouclé ma thèse en 5 ans. Je dois déposer d'ici 1 mois. Mais comment je vais faire avec ces problèmes qui m'ont été causés par Elisio? Merci.
Thank you very much. Let me begin by making the point that any feedback that we receive is taken seriously, and I believe that Ibrahim Owanda and his team are going to make sure that on a whole range of issues that have been raised that need our attention and revision for the program, I think that those ones will be taken seriously. Normally, in the longer institutes, we always take a day to take our colleagues to different places. Goree Island, we normally would do that during the regular institutes that take slightly longer than this institute. Actually, even for this institute, if it is 2 weeks, we would normally do that. Dakar is home to a number of extremely interesting historical sites other than Goree Island, really. It's also home to one of the latest, most ambitious museums that you can think about. And so if we did not do it this time, I think it's more because of the time constraints than anything else. But at a pedagogical level, I do hear the point, and I think we owe you an apology for that. We couldn't. It's also nice for you, you know, if you had time to go to Sandaga and interact with the community of traders in Sandaga, Ashlem and all these other places. It would have been really something to do. So our apologies for that. The reason really being that we had a really congested institute this time. And we hope that if you come back, which is, I think, the carrot that I'm dangling, if you come back for another institute, we're going to make sure that you visit some of these landmarks that are available in Dakar. I wanted to begin to deal with the question from UCAD related to the question from UJ. Fatima, I'm told that's your name, and the colleague from UJ. We don't have a partnership with UNISA. UNISA took initiative. UNISA took initiative, and they have always done so. For our General Assembly, UNISA will always ask, can we send our students? And since we have no reason not to say no, say, yeah, please bring your students. No special relationship. They just love us. Or let me say, they love us more. I have friends from UJ who will be listening and saying, did he just say that? UNISA loves us more. We don't have any special relationship. UNISA decided, they saw a call and they said we have a number of students who would benefit, and they brought them. And we are happy if UJ can do the same. If you ask Elisio and Oanda here to name off the top of their heads 5 colleagues in UJ, I want to say the 5 colleagues in UJ who know CODESRIA inside out. They will do it rapidly, including a former UJ member of staff who is on the scientific committee of CODESRIA. And I don't want to mention Zondi, I don't want to mention Chris Landsberg and all those colleagues, including the former director of internationalization, Pinky Mehwe, who was a member of staff at CODESRIA. I'm actually making the point, there's no reason why students in UJ in the social sciences should not know CODESRIA, just from internal networks in UJ itself, including the former Vice Chancellor who knows CODESRIA very well. Okay? I don't want to talk about the current one who is leaving to go and head the United Nations University. But I'm just trying to show that familiarity with UJ is something we know here in Quran. Familiarity about CODESRIA in UJ is established. So if we must share blame, Fatimata asked who is to blame. We take 15% and you take the remaining. And for UCAD, students, not staff or anything, students in UCAD, they take 90% and we take 10%. Because we are right at the corner. And every once in a while we improve our gate so that you can read properly. Fatimata. And some of the leading academics in the social sciences and humanities in Senegal, okay, have played a crucial role in CODESRIA. Suleiman Bashir Jan, Abdullahi Batili, Pendambo, Fatuso, Aminata Jiao. Should I continue? And for this institute, once we finished the shortlisting and we discovered we didn't have enough representation from Senegal, I asked Hadi Diop to reach out to colleagues in UCAD to give us more. Now we've reduced to 5%, CODESRIA to blame, 95% students at UCAD. But this is the tragedy, and now trying to address this question a little more seriously. Myself and Ibrahim Owanda, we didn't know each other then, came to CODESRIA the first time in 1997. All of us were still master's students. And the question of the participation of UCAD in CODESRIA activities was there in 1997. Okay? Those days, Mamadou Diouf was a program officer in CODESRIA. Okay? Our selection processes for the institute is strictly blind peer review. All your proposals are read by 2 people. Only in exceptional cases we don't do that, but it's blind peer review. Okay? And as I said, we've been audited. I have audit fatigue. So I'm going to speak to some of my younger friends, starting with here. We need to do something with UCAD, and I don't want to do it with the colleagues who have been in CODESRIA long enough. I want to do it with a new cohort of faculty. And we've had many institutes, and in virtually each institute that I have presided over in the last 5 years, we have had participation from faculty from Senegal. I've reduced, Fatimata have reduced the blame to 2 CODESRIA, 2%, the rest. Before COVID, we used to have UCAD students come to use CODIS before COVID. But I can tell you, we have more interest in the resources available in CODIS from outside Senegal than we have from inside. Okay? But let me even make it worse. For a very long time, there were complaints about CODESRIA being inaccessible. Your website is not good, everything. As I said, we solved those questions. Solved all those questions. That gentleman standing there, Basiru, and me, we started worrying about our access digitally. And in the last 1 year, we've addressed almost every excuse anyone has had not to know CODESRIA. So if you ask me a question why you don't know CODESRIA, right? It's not because we haven't done our bit. We have done our bit. Membership, what benefits, right? Go to my website. The answers are there for you, in English and French primarily. Even the question on publications, the answer is sitting there waiting for you to get it. So, at this point, about knowing CODESRIA and engagement with CODESRIA, knowing information, I am at 2%, you are at 98%. All issues of Africa development from volume 1, 1976 or thereabout, to volume 47, 2002, are available on the CODESRIA website free of charge. You don't need a website, a password, you don't need anything. They are there. some of the leading articles that Samir Amin published, Pendambo, Fatuso, or name anyone you think is a leading African academic who have published with Africa Development. They are there free of charge. Books, they are there free of charge. The only books that you will not access are the ones published recently, because we have now a 2-year embargo on them. Free of charge. Can I repeat free of charge? You don't need to give us anything. Just go there. Okay? English and French. Available to you. Membership, free. Just click the line. Those of you who have now participated in the institute, automatically you are going to be on the CODESRIA listserv. But as you know, you don't need to pay us anything to follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We even have Instagram. Before I forget, LinkedIn. And we post something or 2 things or 3 things every day. Right? And we've made our website interactive and it links all those platforms. How you are in South Africa and you need a CODESRIA book, click, you go to the catalog. I'm just trying to exhaust the pleasure of reminding you that we are there and you have refused to reach out to us. And I want to know who you reach out to if you haven't reached out to us. Right? You want to order a book? Is Jama here? Jama is right there. You order your book, you make a payment, and we have an internal rule. If it stays in the house for more than a week before we zoom it to you, we have a problem. And somebody has to explain to me why we are having a problem. You email a CODESRIA member of staff and it stays 2, 3, 4 days without a response, we have a problem. We don't do the culture of not responding to emails. And I'm highlighting the excuses I've been hearing people say. So what other thing do we need to do in order to make sure? We took a decision 2 years ago that what we're going to do in CODESRIA is that we're going to make sure that we are where you need to see us. If you choose to close your eyes, you chose to close your eyes. And if there's something else we can do, we're willing to do it. But really, honestly, I think that go find us there. We're there. Every morning, Basiru sent me or any of the relevant members of staff messages that have come from people who did not know who they should direct an email to. So you're sitting somewhere, you don't know anybody in CODESRIA, but you have a secure link where you can email us with your message. And the moment it shows up in my office, they send it to the correct person to respond. We publish in English and French for limitations of budget. But over the years, we have actually formally reached out to countries, Lusophone countries, if you will. We really have struggled with the Arabophone countries, if you will, to the point where we are in partnership with the Arab Council for the Social Sciences, because we need to make sure that we are syncing our communities in a manner that facilitates that interaction. And we've done joint proposals with them that should lead to projects that facilitate our presence in North Africa in particular. Elisio here came to CODESRIA through what initially was a Lusophone initiative. And the president of CODESRIA is from Mozambique. And another former president of CODESRIA was from Mozambique. And only this year we published a book on Angola. And we've been struggling to get Cape Verde into our system. So we're trying. It's a difficult thing to run a Pan-African organization because of the many languages that we have today. And it's totally expensive, but we're trying. So you will find there are versions of Africa Development that are published in Portuguese. I think the last one we published last year. And there were 2 MRI groups. And to understand MRI and all that, please go to the website. Okay? There were 2 MRI groups, one Cape Verde, and the other one was Angola. Guinea-Bissau. Okay? So it's difficult, and we've run a General Assembly in Maputo before. These are the initiatives we make. I hope we can reach a level of stability financially for us to make those really integral parts of everything we do. For General Assembly, whenever we have enough participants who speak Portuguese and Arabic, we do simultaneous translation in 4 languages. And we're trying. And I hope that we can reach a point where we do it in Swahili. Okay? So those are really some of the responses I want to give. Benefits of being paid up member, you will find them on the website, but I want to address one. Do you want to miss belonging to this network of academics? That is a benefit. Because one of the reasons we exist is to break that fragmentation of Africa along narrow nationalistic lines. If you're Nigeria, you just wondering what those people in Kaduna at Ahmadu Bello University are doing, and those ones in Ibadan, and those ones in Zuka, that is your value. We break those boundaries. And when we mean break those boundaries, essentially what I mean is that in Africa, people think breaking the boundary is going to Europe and North America. But there are local African barriers we need to break. We need to network you with your colleagues on the continent. Because the rich diversity of Africa is calling on us to actually promote that Pan-African consciousness. And I think if I don't articulate any practical benefit to it, this networking in itself is important. This is the reason why we can sit here and say we know UJ who is doing what, we know UNISA who is doing what, we know Angola who is doing what, right? And I think that's really, really important. Thank you very much, because the point about the consciousness that has made CODESRIA to survive is a point that is very important to me. Over the last 1.5 years, I have been under audit from our funding partners. And my biggest worry was not that they will find something, because there was nothing to find. My biggest worry was, am I going to be the last executive secretary of CODESRIA? Right? And I think I must make the point that we really need African academics to make CODESRIA a living, present organization in our lives. Because we don't feel in Dakar that we are. There are a number of colleagues who are loyal to CODESRIA in good and bad times, like they are in a marriage. It doesn't matter. At our lowest moment in the secretariat, there are colleagues who will send me messages and say, we understand what's happening, but don't give up. We don't get any funding from any African government other than our host government, the government of the Republic of Senegal, which has kept us here tax-free for close to 50 years. We don't get any funding from elsewhere. And when I go to the ministries and I meet some of the colleagues who are responsible for various things that we benefit from, it's not a question whether CODESRIA should continue enjoying the status that we do. That's not the question. What can we do better is the question. I can tell you, I can't count too many African countries that can give the benefit that we enjoy in Senegal. Okay? I can't. And I'm not being bad to other governments, I'm just saying the reality. But other than the government of the Republic of Senegal, across various regimes, I must say, we don't benefit from any funding from any African organization, from any African government. And it's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. And something has to change. Something will change. But the investment in the consciousness that there must be a Pan-African community of scholarships that is supported and survives the way CODESRIA has survived for close to 50 years is something that I can never take for granted. Because we are inheritors of a very glorious tradition of scholarship in CODESRIA. You don't find it easily anywhere. We're not supported by a system of higher education institutions that give life to this. If you are in the US, you can do that. If you are in the UK, you can do that. If you're in most of Europe, there is a basic structure of university institutions that support the existence of a social science council, the way CODESRIA. We're not supported with that. In fact, what we do, we flip the relationship so that we put our ears on the ground, we take note of the challenges that African universities are facing, and we mount programs in response to those challenges. And CODESRIA has done this for the longest time. In the years of structural adjustment programs, some of us only began to engage serious scholarship the moment we traveled outside. And where were we going? Dakar. And I feel that as a younger cohort of academics, this is the challenge. I think it's Fanon who said every generation must find its mission, right? And either fail or you succeed. And your investment is going to be in that direction. And the point about, so there was a point about availability of articles and publications. That one I have responded to it. Go to the website. I think that we have addressed most of the questions that have come. I just want to encourage you that you are going to be the ones taking over CODESRIA in a few years. When I was in CODESRIA in 1997, I had no idea I would be here, but it prepared me for the role. And I think you're going to be the next generation to take the mission of CODESRIA over, beyond where we have. And I think it's important to remember that we are standing on the shoulders of people who had a vision, people who had a sense that this institution has a role to serve in the continent, and that role is going to be realized whichever way we look at it. And I feel that this is the point to really thank Nde Asto Ndiaye. Okay? For really taking the time out of her really busy schedule. I've been seeing, because when that camera is paying attention, it pays more attention to this table. So I've been watching this, the interventions, and it's almost like a religious commitment to be here and make sure that we share the opportunity to interact and to benefit from the knowledge that we all carry, which most of the time we keep in our offices. So really thank you very much for accepting to join us and for also staying the course. Our colleague Ralph, I think this is your 5th summer institute. It's religious commitment for you to take a flight from Accra, crossover, and come. And we actually did request for a shift in the dates because we were running short of time over some logistics thing, and he did. You are lucky that you came this week rather than the other week, because we got stuck all the way from the airport when it was raining. But this is part of the socialization that you realize when you are engaging Africa and running around. So we really thank you very much, not just for this session of the Institute, but also for other sessions of the Institute, which you have been a very, very consistent and provocative and committed participant in. I really appreciate this. And then, of course, Elisio, whom I have known for many years. Elisio has served on the scientific committee of CODESRIA, has published with CODESRIA. In the days when we were struggling with book backlogs, Elisio kept his manuscript in CODESRIA for a very long time, and I don't want to say how long, because it might expose us with the commitment that it must be published in Africa. And I hope that some of you did go to the Secretariat and get it. And also for providing a vision for the Summer Institute, which, of course, you have been a part of for the last 5 years. In difficult and in good moments, Elisio has been a central core of what we do in CODESRIA, and we don't take this for granted. A while ago, when Elisio was asked to give the Lugard lecture at ICAS, we had a lot of fun, because it was a moment for that struggle for many things to fall. And Elisio was giving a lecture on Lord Lugard, and we had this very interesting debate. But the point I want to extract here is that there is an amount of humility and an amount of patience that Elisio brings to his engagement with CODESRIA that we don't take for granted, because he could as well be anywhere. She could as well be anywhere else, and he could as well be anywhere else. But they prioritize being with us. So collectively, I want to thank you very much for not just participating in the Institute, but for graduating into what one would call CODESRIA combatants. Through direct and indirect means, you enable us to continue being who we are. And really, on behalf of the laureates, on behalf of the community of scholarship, and on behalf of staff of CODESRIA, I want to thank you very much for this opportunity to engage you. And then, of course, we have a number of CODESRIA staff. Today, they are more than they were on Monday, so I will not mention each one of them. But collectively, as a team, they make it possible for us to achieve many of the things we do achieve, and the Institute is just but one of them. There are many of them who do interesting, excellent things in the quiet moments in their office. You will never see them. You will not know who they are, but the outputs from CODESRIA speak to who they are and what they do. And so collectively, all CODESRIA members of staff present, I want to thank you very much for facilitating this institute, with a particular attention to those ones in TGF. Particularly, all of you told me that you received a communication from Dominique. I think Dominique has been at the heart of this institute, working very closely with the they tend to hide when I'm about to mention them. So you can see Hadi is trying to hide so that I don't see her. Just to thank you very much for making this institute possible. And then, of course, finally, to thank all the laureates of the Institute for really taking time out of your schedule. Nowadays, it's not interesting to travel. Because before you travel, they poke your nose. And when you go back, they poke your nose again. And for poking your nose, they ask you to pay. Okay? And CODESRIA is not one of those organizations that will give you a big allowance or any of those things. So for creating time out of your busy schedules to join us, I really want to thank you and really wish that you continue engaging the council. And for our colleagues from UNISA, thanks always for remembering CODESRIA and for acknowledging that we make some difference in the kind of work that you do down in Pretoria. And finally, the interpreters, they are the people who listen to virtually everything that you are saying. They are better specialists on everything you have said than yourself. And I want to thank them. I saw there was a change in the interpreters that we have, so I won't mention names, but if we look at them, we can see they are doing a sterling job. We want to thank you. So having done all that, I want to find out if there are any logistics-related questions. Dominic? Do we have any logistics-related? Okay. Is there any logistics-related point? Nothing. So everyone, I think, will pay attention to your ticket. The hotel transfers, the airport transfers are being done by the hotel. If you have any worries about issues to do with how you move, Dominique is there to answer any questions. For those colleagues who had questions about whether you need a PCR test to board, I am hoping that Mariam will have come back with the response. So after the photo session, please let us find an answer to that question. And before I give, who is this? Somebody? Okay, I'll give you a minute. I wanted to spare the very, very final thank you to Omodili. Omodili Foundation is a private foundation in Switzerland. The idea of supporting the institute is an idea that germinated partly as a conversation between the Center for African Studies at Basel and Omodili, and then CODESRIA became an ideal place where the institute has to be run, and Omodili has supported the institute in the last 5 editions. And I just want to be clear that we do not take this for granted. And we do not take this for granted also partly because they have not been an accounting nuisance. They have not been. Many funding organizations are worried about the toll that accounting and financial procedures and reporting procedures impact on the organizations they support. But Omodili, I think, has been very clear about this. We need to demonstrate we use their money well, and that's it. So please pass our gratitude to Lucy again, and hopefully we are going to renegotiate this and have the next institutes being supported. And I want to conclude with a word of thank you to Omodili Foundation for this particular opportunity. So yes, you have something to say before we go for a photo session and then certificates.
All right, thank you so much, Prof, and for the opportunity to address the colleagues. I just want to share, I have spoken to a few of the colleagues on a one-to-one basis, but I thought maybe let me share it to the group at large. UNISA hosts a summer school every January. So I am, officially just letting you guys know that there will be a poster in the next couple of weeks. I will share it on the WhatsApp group so that everybody can see it. But the summer school has been on hiatus due to COVID for the past 2 years or so. So we are relaunching the summer school. It promises to be absolutely amazing. It's entitled UNISA Summer School, Decolonial, Afrocentric, and Knowledge is Otherwise. So please do join us if you can. Unfortunately for us, because like I had mentioned before, my office is quite small and still establishing itself, so there isn't any funding as such for the school, but it's not expensive. The winter summer school is quite cheap. It's about 2,500 for the whole week. So, you know, if you are able to travel and get down to South Africa, we'd be very, very happy to have you. We do envision a dual medium summer school, so an online version will be available if logistically possible, because we are attempting to do a summer school that speaks to the land, right? So when we are able to do, you know, the online platforms, and we are in conversation with our IT to ensure that even when we're in the land, those who are on the online platforms can still be with us in that space. It's going to be it starts on the 16th of January until the 20th of January, so that's a week. It's absolutely, it's an amazing space. It's an amazing space. As I think you can already tell that Unisans are quite militant. So this is a space where, where if you're not militia, this is where you shall come out absolutely on fire. So I would be very, very happy to have you in participating in that space. It typically, you know, will have South Africans, some Australians, Americans. So the reach out to Africa is very important to us, and CODESRIA has given us that opportunity. So please do join us if you possibly can. My office is available. If you have any concerns, issues, you need help, you can reach out to me. I'm on the WhatsApp group, which is where I'll share the poster. Thank you.
And you will also share the poster on the CODESRIA platform?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Free of charge. Okay, so I think we should issue the certificates, and then we all go for a group photo. And hopefully, if the group photo is a very good one, it will be on the CODESRIA website for a while to celebrate you and to assure you that we were not joking when we said we're not leaving you to go just like that. So, Rwanda, do you want to? How do we proceed? There. Okay. So it seems that the best way to do this is to have the resource persons. Just give me a minute to have the resource persons there, because I would like you to participate in handing over the certificates to the laureates. And Dominique will call your name, and you go take you go and take your certificate together with the photo, right? So please, Ralph, Licio, Wanda, us two, please, let's go. She has a certificate. Yes, so several of them, right? Okay, colleagues. Excuse me. Colleagues, excuse me. Dominique is calling out names for the certificates. Please, you join her over there, and you're going to receive there plus a photo that we're taking. Dominique, do you want to start?
Yes. Allô, allô.
Je ne peux pas tenir tout ça, c'est une basse.
Allô.
LH Bourré Diouf.
Moi j'ai le nom de madame.
I don't want her to move. Okay. Yes. Le bon, bougez rien. Omar Mbo.
Florence. Florence. Madame. Madame. Madame.
Can you please move again? Maybe that's easier.
Whatever you do, you look here. Okay? And whatever I say you do. Okay? This is political. Because if I don't get it right, my job is on the line. Who else is joining? Gladys, you're not there?
Thank you.